I'm sorry, Dad, but the authorities have been called. I can't be part of this anymore. That phone call was made on December 11th, 2008, by one of Bernie Madoff's sons to his father just minutes before FBI agents arrived at Madoff's Manhattan penthouse. The man they were coming to arrest wasn't a gangster. He wasn't a drug lord. He didn't rob banks or sell weapons. He was a respected Wall Street executive, a former chairman of NASDAQ, a philanthropist who gave millions to charity. He looked like your neighbor, your friend's dad, someone you'd trust with your life savings. And that's exactly what people did. For nearly 20 years, Bernie Madoff stole $65 billion from thousands of people, the largest financial fraud in human history. He didn't hack computers. He didn't forge documents in secret. He did something far more terrifying. He looked people in the eye, shook their hands, and lied to their faces. And they believed him. This is the story of how one man fooled the world's smartest investors, escaped government regulators for 17 years, and destroyed thousands of lives. But here's what makes this story truly dangerous. The same tactics Bernie Madoff used are still working today. Let's go back to the beginning. Bernie Madoff was born in 1938 in Queens, New York. His parents were middle class, no wealth, no powerful connections, nothing special. In 1960, fresh out of college, Bernie had one goal: to make it on Wall Street. But Wall Street was an exclusive club. If you didn't come from money or go to the right schools, you were nobody. So Bernie worked as a lifeguard and a sprinkler installer, saving every single dollar. With $5,000, his entire life savings, he started Bernard L. Madoff Investment Firm. While other firms used phones, paper, and handwritten trades, Bernie embraced technology. He bought computers when they were still rare. He built electronic trading systems before most people even understood what that meant. And it worked. By the 1980s, Madoff's firm was legitimate and successful. He helped build NASDAQ. He became chairman of the exchange. He sat on powerful committees. He gave speeches about ethics and market integrity. He donated millions to charity. To the outside world, Bernie Madoff had made it. But somewhere along the way, maybe in the early 1990s, he started something new. A private investment operation. And this one was different. He didn't advertise. He didn't sell. If you asked to invest, he would often say, "No, the fund is closed." You had to be invited. You had to know someone. You had to be special. And that's what made it irresistible. Because when someone tells you no, you want it even more. And everyone wanted in. Here's what Bernie promised: steady returns of 10 to 12% every year. Not 50%, not 100%, just a boring, consistent 10 to 12. In good markets, 10%. In bad markets, still 10%. It sounded too good to be true. But people believed it because Bernie made it boring. Most scammers promise wild riches. Double your money in 6 months. Get rich fast. That's what makes people suspicious. Bernie promised slow and steady, and people trusted that. His client list became a who's who of power and fame. Steven Spielberg, Kevin Bacon, Larry King. The owner of the New York Mets invested $500 million. Charities, universities, pension funds. People trusted Bernie with their retirement, their children's future, their life savings. But here's the truth. Bernie wasn't investing their money. Let's say you gave Bernie $1 million. At the end of the year, your statement showed $1.1 million, $100,000 profit. You're happy. You tell your friends. They invest too. But Bernie never bought any stocks. He never made real trades. Your profit came from someone else's deposit. This is called a Ponzi scheme, named after Charles Ponzi, who ran the exact same con a century earlier. As long as new money flows in, everyone gets paid. But the moment withdrawals become larger than new deposits, the entire system collapses. Here's how Bernie hid it. His real business operated on the upper floors of his Manhattan office. Legitimate trading, real clients, legal profits. But the fraud happened one floor below. A small team printed fake account statements, fake trades, fake profits. Upstairs, Bernie attended charity events, met with regulators, and lectured the industry on ethics. Downstairs, lies were being printed every single day. If anyone questioned his strategy, he became defensive. If you don't trust me, take your money elsewhere. Nobody did. Because once you're inside an exclusive club, you're terrified of being kicked out. Here's the most disturbing part of this story. People tried to stop him. In 1999, a financial analyst named Harry Markopoulos was asked to study Bernie's strategy. It took him 5 hours to realize it was impossible. The returns were too perfect, too smooth, too consistent. The strategy Bernie claimed to use simply could not work at the scale he claimed. Harry spent the next 9 years warning the government. He sent detailed reports to the Securities and Exchange Commission again and again. This is a Ponzi scheme. It's over $50 billion. The SEC investigated Madoff multiple times. They found nothing. Why? Because Bernie was one of them. Because his returns seemed reasonable. Because his clients didn't want the truth. And because Bernie always had confident answers, everything collapsed in 2008. The financial crisis hit. Lehman Brothers collapsed. The stock market crashed. Investors panicked. And panic means withdrawals. Billions of dollars started leaving Madoff's fund. There was no more new money to cover the old money. On December 10th, 2008, Bernie called his sons to his apartment and confessed. It was all a lie. A massive Ponzi scheme. There was no money left. They contacted a lawyer. The lawyer contacted the FBI. The next morning, Bernie Madoff was arrested. The largest financial fraud in history was over. The losses were staggering. $65 billion. Thousands of victims. 136 countries. A retired couple lost everything and returned to work in their 70s. A charity for Holocaust survivors was forced to shut down. A man who lost over $1 billion took his own life. Then came the destruction of Bernie's own family. His son Mark, who had no involvement in the fraud, took his own life 2 years later. His son Andrew died of cancer at 48. His brother was sentenced to prison. In 2009, Bernie Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal crimes. The judge called his actions extraordinarily evil. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison. In 2021, Bernie Madoff died behind bars. His wife lost her fortune, her reputation, her sons, everything. A court-appointed trustee named Irving Picard spent over a decade recovering stolen money. Over $14 billion was eventually returned to victims, but most of the damage can never be undone. So, why did Bernie Madoff succeed for so long? Because people believe what they want to believe. Because exclusivity creates false trust. Because consistency feels safe even when it's impossible. Because regulators can fail. And because people invest in things they don't understand. In prison, Bernie showed little remorse. He blamed greed. He blamed regulators. He blamed everyone but himself. Here's what truly haunts me about this story. Bernie Madoff wasn't a genius. He wasn't using secret algorithms or advanced technology. He just lied, over and over, for nearly 20 years. And thousands of smart, successful people believed him. Because in the end, the most dangerous frauds aren't complex. They're simple, they're boring, and they feel safe. If you want to understand the scams, crashes, and financial disasters that shaped our world, from Ponzi schemes to bank panics, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next Bernie Madoff is already out there, building trust, making promises, and the only real defense is knowledge. This is Histonomics, where history meets money.